Okay guys, I've got a budget bike for you today. Let's find out if a $699 e-moped is actually worth the money. I've got to say, it looks pretty promising, but we're just gonna have to find out. Let's go check it out. All right guys, here it is, a budget-friendly e-moped. Is this bike actually gonna be worth it? At $699, it really doesn't have a high threshold to make it worth the money. And you won't believe what this comes with for 699 bucks. You've got 20-inch by 4-inch wide tires that have this awesome tan wall look to them. Not only that, you do get a 15 amp hour removable battery, a pretty cool retro looking seat, a 750 watt rear hub motor, and the website has two different claims. They claim 20 miles an hour and they claim 28 miles an hour. Before I go out, I'm gonna jump into the menu system and see if I can get this thing set to go 28. And then after that, we're gonna test out the pedal assist. All right, guys, we got my traditional test that we're gonna be performing on this, so you're gonna wanna stick around because next up is the pedal assist test, then the 0 to 20 test, then we're gonna be doing a braking test, and we're also gonna be doing a hill climb test and a sensor switch test. Lots of stuff in this video for this $699 bike. If you guys like this video and you guys wanna pick up your own fifth wheel night, definitely use my links down below. That helps out the channel. No additional cost to you, and I greatly appreciate it. All right, on to the pedal assist test. Okay, normally I show you guys these menu systems later in the video, but the menu system on this is pretty small. We're gonna hold down the plus and the minus button here, and that's gonna take us in. We've got P01, which P01 is gonna change between miles per hour and kilometers. And then if we hit to P02, this is where our speed is actually gonna be set. 0 only goes up to 20, but if we set that to 1, they claim that it will go to 28 miles an hour. So that's our ticket. If we go to P03 and we long press it, that's gonna reset the odometer. So if you wanna reset the odometer, you can do that. I don't know why people would ever wanna do that and why manufacturers would give that as an option, but it seems like multiple brands do. Those are gonna be your P level settings. You've only got your display units, you've got your classification, changing it from a class 2 to a class 3, and then you also have a reset option. So P01, P02, and P03. We're gonna go over this menu whenever we get back from our ride. Let's go ahead and head out. So real quick, a couple things that I got in the box. I got this manual, I got this little bag of tools that'll help you assemble it, and you can keep this with you so you always have whatever you need to help repair the bike. And then I got this little pump, so you can air up your tires if you don't have a pump at your house. Okay, we're out here on the night and we're gonna do the pedal assist test. We're gonna go ahead and get this thing going. And we're gonna start pedaling on pedal assist 1 and see what this gets us to. Now, take note, this bike only has 3 pedal assists. So you got pedal assist 1, 2, and 3. I don't count 0 because it's not really assisting you. But pedal assist 1 gets us up to 10 miles an hour. Now remember, I did set this up to where it will be a class 3. So this should get us to 28, but we're gonna go pedal assist 2. It's cruising. It got us up to 20 really, really quickly. So that's a big improvement. So I'm not gonna lie, I took this out for about a mile ride this morning just to kind of get a feel for the bike before I actually kind of did my initial thought review on this bike. Traditionally, whenever I do a review on a bike, I like to get my very first impressions. So whenever you see me doing a review on a bike, most of the time, it's the first time that I've ever really taken the bike out. Occasionally, it's a little bit later, depending on the bike. But pedal assist 2 gets us up to 20 miles an hour, which is a really nice speed. Now, I am ghost pedaling, but that's to be expected because, for 1, I'm on an e-moped. 2, I am only getting, this only has a 7 speed on it, but we'll go over that later. Pedal assist 3, let's see if this gets us up to that 28 that it's supposed to. Woo! All right, we're cruising. 28. Okay, it's got me kind of curious. Will this actually get up to 28 miles an hour with a throttle? I kind of don't think it will, but let's find out. It's definitely accelerating really, really quick. There's Oh boy, guys, this is going above 20, 25, 20, 28 miles an hour on a $699 e-moped. We'll go 28 with throttle. Are you kidding? This is absolutely amazing. I have ridden $2,000 e-mopeds and they won't go above 20 with throttle. This one is doing 28. What the heck? This is officially my favorite sub $1,000 e-moped, just for the fact that it can do that. There are not many e-mopeds that will allow you to go over that 20 mile an hour mark with throttle. This one just keeps going at 28 miles an hour with throttle or pedal assist. I love this bike already. I absolutely love it. If you've been in the market for an e-moped that's super budget friendly and you want it to be primarily throttle, I'm already gonna say it. This is my pick. This is my pick. 699 bucks. What are you waiting for? Just buy the bike. This is so much fun. And I've got to say, a lot of bikes that are this inexpensive don't have good control. This bike feels so good. I'm just cruising on this bike. Oh, this is so much fun. Oh man. Okay. That was wicked fun. Normally I do the brake test next, but we're gonna do that here in just a minute because I wanna go over the brakes in quite a bit of detail. But first I wanna do the 0 to 20 mile an hour test. Guys, oh man, I'm mile 2 into this. I am so glad that I found that setting to go 28 miles an hour on this bike, because it changed my mind about this bike completely. I thought this was going to be another e-moped that would just go 20 miles an hour and it would just be a casual rider. But one that goes 28 and handles the way that this one handles for 699 bucks. Guys, you're going to hear me say this all throughout the video. $699. What the heck? This is so cool. Okay. All right, now that I'm just like blown away by the top speed of the throttle and how good it got there with pedal assist, let's go ahead and do the 0 to 20 pedal assist. I've got it in the highest pedal assist setting, and that is pedal assist 3. And we're gonna go ahead and start this in 3, 2, 1, go. And kick in cadence. There we go, it kicked in. It took a minute, so that's gonna hurt the time. And 20. Okay, that is definitely going to hurt the time. The cadence sensor did take a hot minute to kick in, and I do think that some of that has to do with the gear that I have it in. I always start these 0 to 20 tests in the hardest gear, and the main reason why I do that, if I haven't ever explained that, is I want to simulate that how most people are going to be riding these bikes. They're going to have them in the hardest gear and they're going to let the motor do all the work. Well, if you're at a stoplight and you need to get going and you're going to pedal, you're going to be in the hardest gear and you can't really shift until after you get going. So you need the cadence sensor or the torque sensor, whatever sensor is on your bike, to kick in really quick. And if it doesn't do that, then it's going to take you a little bit to get there. But that was the 0 to 20 time with pedal assist. I have this feeling that the throttle is going to be a lot more impressive. All right, here we go. 0 to 20 throttle. Remember, this is in class 3 mode and we can hit 28, but we're only going to get to 20 in 3, 2, 1, go. Ooh, yeah, picked up the front end just a little bit with the suspension. Get in aerodynamic mode and 20. That was pretty quick. I wouldn't say that it was lightning fast by any means, but I would definitely say that it was one of the quicker ones, but not super, super fast. So I'm going to give that one a positive review. This bike, just the fact that this bike can go over 20 with the throttle is a game-changing thing to me. Like, it totally flips the script on this particular bike and the price point that it comes in at. If it doesn't have the absolute fastest acceleration, then that's okay, because the top speed is ultimately what matters to me most of the time. And for the price point, this bike's a winner. This bike is a true winner in my mind. Let's go ahead and let's just talk about this price a little bit more and some of the suspension that comes on this bike. So the suspension on this bike is coil. It's all coil. The front end is a coil suspension. You don't really get much adjustment with this suspension up front. And then also the coil shock back here, you do get a little bit of suspension adjustment. But I do have to say, I have had so many bikes that have inexpensive forks on them, but this bike feels really good. It's not an amazing suspension, but it's also not a bad suspension. This is ideal for road riding and maybe a little bit of light gravel. I really wouldn't take this bike off-road. Not saying that you couldn't, but I'm just saying that it's not truly designed for that. This is more of a city cruising e-moped, and until you get into air suspension or really high-end coil suspension, I don't recommend taking most bikes off-road. And so being that this is more of a city cruising e-moped, I would stick to the roads. It's definitely going to smooth them out and make it a little bit more comfortable ride. And being that this is a $699 bike right now, I have said that a lot, but that is the sale price. Full retail on this bike is $999. And I think for $999, you are still getting a really good deal. Now, the one thing about this bike is it does have a little over a 15 amp hour battery. I do wish that that was a 20 amp hour battery. It does look like there's room in the frame for them to put a 20 amp hour battery. And that would be really cool if they maybe just up the price just a little bit more and you got a little bit bigger battery. That would be nice, but 15 amp hours is probably going to be suitable for most people. And overall, for the price, even at $999, I think that this bike is pretty incredible. It's not going to have the highest end components, but whenever you're looking at a bike that's anywhere between $1,200 and less, you're not necessarily expecting to get high-end components. You're just expecting to have something that's going to be quick, stable, and fun to ride. And this bike meets all those requirements. And right now at $699, I don't even know how Fifth Wheel is making any money on this bike. It's a ton of fun already. Super impressed with that motor. I can't wait to do the hill climb test to see what this does, because if this thing even remotely climbs that hill with throttle only, it's a deal sealer for me, because at this price point, if it can climb that hill with throttle, it's going to be awesome. I know it'll be able to do it with pedal assist, but with throttle, that's going to be a big challenge. It's got the motor, 750 watts, but we're just going to have to see. All right, enough talk. Let's go ahead and let's go to the brake test. All right, guys, we are going to do the brake test. How we do this is we get up to 20, we slam on the brakes, and we see where it stops in comparison to all the other bikes. Let's go ahead and start in 3, 2, 1, go. No need to pedal. We're just going to get this up to 20 with throttle because we know it'll do it. And 20. Okay, all right, guys, this is where I want to talk about these brakes. I want to talk about these brakes because this bike actually performed really well for the brakes that are on it. These brakes that come on this bike, these are actually going to be cable-driven brakes. And I am not a fan at all of cable-driven brakes. Cable-driven brakes have this kind of like feel to them where you squeeze really, really hard and they don't progressively get any better at stopping. Kind of like when you get to a point to where they're going to max out at stopping and it doesn't get any better. There's not a lot of what I call modulation, but I do have to say, this bike performed in the average range. So normally I see front wheels stop within this area, but I have seen moped style bikes go past this particular point, this little crack right here. I have seen them do that. This bike's back wheel actually landed in this range. So I would say, for the fact that this has cable driven brakes, and also for the fact that this has 160 mil rotors, both front and back, this thing did a really good job of stopping. Normally we see 180 mil hydraulic brakes doing a little bit better than this, but we don't ever see cable driven brakes do this good. And that's one of the reasons why this bike is kind of less expensive, is because they put on cable driven brakes. There are a few parts and components on here that allow them to push that price point down. One of those are the brakes. The brakes aren't top of the line, but if you wanted to buy this bike and you wanted to upgrade to hydraulic brakes, that's completely possible. You can get a good set of Zoom hydraulic brakes with bigger rotors, and you could do this for probably around $50 to $70. In fact, I'll put a link down below to where you can pick up some Zoom brakes that would actually stop this bike probably about 3 feet shorter than what it just did. They're great hydraulic brakes for a great price. So for a little under 800 bucks, you could have this bike and you could have a set of hydraulic brakes that would stop it even better. However, with that said, these brakes did a great job. I mean, for cable driven brakes, I would have no problem riding with these brakes around town. So fifth wheel, you are on fire. I don't know how you're selling this bike at this price and making any kind of money, but if you're somebody who's been looking for something like this, jump on it, because I don't know if the price of this bike is going to go up, but for 699 bucks, if you've been looking at those $1,000 and less e-mopeds, this is my pick right now out of all of them that I've reviewed. Okay, so we've done the pedal assist test. We've done the 0 to 20 test. We've also done the brake test. Let's do a sensor switch test. This test is really important to me because when I'm at a stoplight, I like to throttle through the intersection if I have the option, and then switch to pedal once I get through the intersection. I want as little of a delay between the switching of those two sensors. And then I also want to be able to switch back to throttle while I'm pedaling, and I want to see how quickly that works. Let's go ahead. Let's try throttle to pedal assist, and then pedal assist to throttle. I'm going to start off here. The nice thing is we don't have to worry about our speed. And we got throttle, 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 pedal, pedal, pedal. That took about 1.5 seconds, maybe 2 seconds. So we're pedaling, throttle. There's no delay. There's no delay in the pedal to throttle, but there is about a 1.5 to 2 second delay from the throttle to pedal. Now, this doesn't surprise me with what we saw on the 0 to 20 test. We saw the 0 to 20 test actually take us a little bit longer with pedal assist than what it probably should have because of that sensor delay. Now, again, this comes down to, this is a $699 bike. They're not going to put a premium sensor on there. You're going to get a sensor that is going to be adequate and good enough, but you're not going to get one of the top of the line sensors like we would see on a $2,000 to $2,500 bike. So for the price of this bike, the switching speed of both of these, I think this is I think that this bike did a really good job. Now you might be saying, Mike, you're giving this bike a lot of leniency considering that it's just a cheaper bike. Well, you kind of have to rate these things on what they're charging. And it seems like Fifth Wheel knows what they're doing by charging the appropriate amount. However, they kind of built more of a bike than what they probably needed to for the price. Okay, while we're making our way over to the hill climb, I just want to talk about the general ride and feel of this bike. The bike has a very comfortable seat. I do wish it was a little bit longer. Having a little bit longer seat would definitely help. It would make it to where I could sit back a little bit further. I do feel like my knees are a little bit further up here. The rear suspension is making a little bit of a creaking noise. I don't know if that's something that I can tighten down or adjust, but it is making a little bit of a creaking noise. The drivetrain feels really good. The pedaling feels pretty good for an e-moped. You can't really expect a lot out of an e-moped when it comes to the pedaling of it, but overall, it feels pretty decent. You do get some nice ergonomic grips here, kind of this faux leather look, which is just kind of gives it a little bit of style, matches the tires a little bit. You do get blinkers, so turn signals, left and right. They're both in the front and in the back on this bike. A nice big headlight. I do like how there's not 5 pedal assist levels. I typically am not a fan of that, but on this particular bike, since most people are probably going to treat this like a e-moped and just be throttling around, having 3 pedal assist levels is actually kind of nice. The motor is pretty much as loud as what you would expect for a sub $1,000 bike. A lot of the $2,000 bikes out there are coming out with like super quiet motors, and I can't expect a $1,000 bike or less to have a super quiet motor, but it's not all that loud. I've heard much louder motors. I think this one does pretty good overall as far as the noise level. I do like the suspension on it, even though the rear suspension does make a little bit of noise. I do like it. It feels appropriate for this style of bike and for this price point of a bike. The BMX bars are great, super comfortable. You do have room to mount different things. In fact, I've got my camera mounted on here, and I can't really do that easily on any other type of bike. BMX bars make that type of stuff really easy. I'm going 30 miles an hour, and this bike feels just really comfortable, feels really calm. Doesn't feel like I'm out of control on this bike. So I've got to say, I am just overall impressed with this particular bike. The price point is just kind of blowing me away. Longevity will be the biggest question with this bike. How long will it last? The battery seems to be a good battery. The charger's a little bit old school looking compared to what we see on more modern e-bikes. But again, they were trying to make an inexpensive e-moped, and I give them props for that because so far it's been pretty stinking impressive. All right, we're at the hill now. Let's go ahead and we're going to do the test. We're going to do both throttle and pedal assist. You're going to see them both at the same time. I'm going to display the times whenever I get to the very top. This hill is about 1/10 of a mile, and it gets up to 19%. It always pushes these e-bikes quite a bit, especially when I do the throttle test. If this bike makes it up the hill and throttle without stopping, I'm going to be very impressed. And if the pedal assist makes it up the hill, keeping it above 10 miles an hour, I would say it's a good hill climber. Let's go ahead, put it pedal assist 3, and we're going to go ahead and get going. In 3, 2, 1, go. So we're going to pedal. Gotta get it going. I'm going to start off with throttle a little bit, get it going. There we go. Okay, so the goal is to just make it up to the top of this hill. See how quick we can get up to before the hill actually starts. Let's see. All right, 23 miles an hour. We're cruising. We're going to find out how good this bike will actually shift under pressure. Right now we're at 19 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour, 19, and here we are. We're up to about the 19% grade, and this motor is really having to work. Come on, baby, keep it up above 10. We got 11, 11.5. Oh, we're gaining. We're gaining. This bike's a beast. Are you kidding? 12. This bike did it. Guys, I have had $1,800 e-bikes with 750 watt motors not make it up that hill above 10 miles an hour. Now, it wasn't the fastest throttle up the hill. We've had other brands do it faster, but we haven't had any brand under $1,000 that I believe I've tested that on. I just can't believe that made it. It never dropped below 7 miles an hour. I don't always put this particular test in my videos just because some bikes I don't like to do this test on because you really shouldn't be going so fast. Well, we're gonna get this bike up to speed here and see how it feels. Whew. Stable, it's stable. 35, 36, 37, 38, 39 miles an hour. Whoo! That was fast. That was fast. Okay, guys, let's go over some more of the details on this bike, just so you kind of have a general idea of what this bike offers. Again, this has a 7-speed Shimano setup. This is going to be their entry-level stuff. Same with this Shimano rear derailleur down here. It's definitely going to be entry level, but with an e-moped style bike, I don't really see you pedaling a lot. It's just going to be for necessity, or maybe if you don't feel comfortable throttling like through a greenway trail. Really, 7 speeds is all you need on an e-moped, especially one like this where it'll reach upwards of 28 miles an hour with throttle. There's really not going to be a lot of people buying this to pedal. So I think putting an inexpensive drivetrain on this was a smart choice to keep that price low. You do get these really nice turn signals that are flexible. So if you do lay this bike down on the ground, the front and back turn signals bend and they bounce back into place, which is really nice. Pretty typical rear tail light. I like the fact that there is a rear tail light, so whenever you're riding at night, people can see it. It is brake actuated. However, it's not super bright, but it does do the job at night. You do have a little license plate holder back here. So if for whatever reason where you live, they require you to have some sort of a plate on your bike whenever you're riding on the road, it's got that there. You do get these plastic fenders, which do keep the price down pretty low, but they also serve a really good use. So you can ride this in the city and not have to worry about getting water splashed up on you. The suspension feels pretty good back here. It is making a little bit of noise, but I think that's something that could be either oiled or tightened down a little bit to kind of fix that problem. I really like this seat. The seat is very comfortable. I do wish it was a little bit longer, but with the compact nature of this bike, they couldn't push it back any further. I thought that this like bump back here would be like uncomfortable. However, I'm finding it to actually be pretty comfortable. It actually adds a little bit more cushion back here where I sit. You do have a flat kind of plate right up here, which at first I was like, well, that seems kind of like a wasted area. You could have extended the seat all the way up. But the more I think about it, you could probably get some sort of like adhesive attachment, like a GoPro style attachment, and then attach different accessories like a phone holder or maybe like a little battery to charge your devices. You could stick that on there and then detach it. And you can get all kinds of cool like adhesive type accessories like what you would see with a GoPro style setup. So I like having that little flat area. It kind of gives you extra options if you want to kind of modify your bike with some accessories. Now, this battery is fully removable, and one thing that I really do like about this battery is it does have an on-off switch. A lot of times batteries don't have on-off switches, and the BMS, the battery management system that's inside the battery, will tend to run. And basically, if you don't pay attention or don't get that on the charger, it will drain the battery very, very slowly. However, with this off switch, you shouldn't have to worry about that. So if you go a month or 2 months without riding this bike, as long as you have that off switch off, it shouldn't drain the battery. Now, there's no guarantee that that's not going to happen, but that's pretty much how that should work. Now, the crank arms on this are pretty short. I saw some stamping on there and it looks like they are 152 millimeters, which is a good size for a moped. You don't want long crank arms because then it makes pedaling really awkward. The shorter your crank arm on an e-moped, in my opinion, it's a lot better. So if that's really what I'm seeing is 152, then I think they did a really good job with that. Feels pretty comfortable to pedal, but with any e-moped, they never feel truly 100% comfortable. One thing I've been pleasantly surprised by, and we'll go over more of the details on this particular screen, is how easy I can see this. I have no problem seeing this, and the sun is directly above us, and it is super bright. So I'm pretty pleased with this screen overall. It displays everything that you need. All the controls seem to function really, really well. You've got a horn. You've also got your headlights on and off, and you have some turn signals. There's a lot of little features on here that they could have excluded to save themselves a little bit of money, but they included them. This is my definition of a true e-moped because it comes with your turn signals, your horn, your headlight, your taillight, taillight that actually functions with your braking. It's got pretty much everything that you would expect out of something that's going to be $1,500 to $2,500 minus all the lesser expensive parts. But overall, this 750 watt rear hub motor has been super, super impressive, as you guys have kind of heard from my excitement about this bike. These tires are super grippy. These are pretty much kind of standardized tires. They're Cho-Yang. Cho-Yang's a proven brand. They've been around for a long time. These tires have the HippoSkin technology in them, meaning that they're going to be a little bit more puncture resistant than a standard tire. The ergonomic grips are super comfortable. They're that faux leather. The quarter twist throttle seems real natural for an e-moped. Overall, this bike is pretty sick. So for one of the last things, let's go ahead and take a look at the display so you guys know exactly what's going to be on the screen while you ride down the road. So taking a quick look at the display here, it's super bright. I'm really impressed with the brightness of the screen. It was even viewable perfectly out in the bright sunlight, which is kind of hard for a lot of bikes that compete in a much higher price point than this one. You do get a little ready message right here letting you know the bike is ready to be ridden. And then you've got your battery indicator right here. It's just bars. You're not going to get percentage. You get this kind of like power meter type thing right here. It's just kind of a graphical display. Then you've got your speed right here, which will display either miles per hour or kilometer. Then you've got your pedal assist levels. You've got 3, including a 0 setting. And then you have your trip and your odometer. Now, if you tap the power button, you'll see it displays average up here, and that's going to display your average speed. And then it's going to display your max speed, and then it's going to go back to your current speed. Now, you didn't see anything change on there because that only holds that while you're on your current ride. And so that's your display. Now let's go ahead and give you my final thoughts. And there you go. The fifth wheel Night was quite a surprise in my opinion. I've reviewed a ton of bikes that can't perform as well as what this bike did. And the reason why I'm so excited about this is just primarily because of the price point and the performance that it actually produced. Now, I know that this bike isn't 100% perfect, and you can't expect that for a bike that's under $1,000. And the fifth wheel Night definitely outperformed bikes well above its price point. And at 699 bucks, I think this is a steal. And if you've been looking for a budget-friendly e-moped, I think this is the one that you should be considering, especially with the fact that this thing can do 28 miles an hour with throttle only. It's one of the more fun e-mopeds that I've ridden in the past year to year and a half. If you guys want to pick one up, I'll put some links down below. And as always, if you guys have been enjoying this, I would appreciate it if you click the sub. I am really trying to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and we are closing in on 4,000 subscribers as of making this video, and I greatly appreciate it. And if you guys could, hit the like button, leave me a comment, let me know what you think of this. At 699 bucks, do you think that this is an absolute steal? And of course, as always, guys, get out there and ride your e-bike.